This program is made possible by the loyal financial support of the friends and partners of Family Policy Institute.
You are the salt of the earth. You are the light of the world.
Good evening and welcome to the program. Thank you for joining us. Tonight, I'm delighted to announce a great guest on the program, Zane Meas, a beloved actor in South Africa. But more importantly, he's the founder and director of the Fatherhood Foundation. It's an organization that is working to restore fatherhood in our communities of South Africa. So Zane Meas, what a pleasure to have you on the program. Welcome back.
Thank you, Errol. Always great to be on your show. And I wanted to always commend you for the great work that you're doing with the Family Policy Institute. Just commendable. And it's a real privilege for me to be on the show today.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much. So, Zane, I invited you on to talk about the Single Marriage Statute or the Single Marriage Policy. It is with the South African Law Reform Commission currently, and they're asking South Africans to comment on a discussion paper about the Single Marriage Statute. And just for our viewers' sake, I want to just quickly go through what the proposals are. So they've got two proposals in this discussion paper, and that is to firstly abolish the three marriage acts we currently have in our statute books. It's the Marriage Act of 1961, under which we religious people do marriages, man and woman, husband and wife. Then there's the Civil Union Bill Act, under which same-sex couples and even opposite-sex couples can get married under the Civil Union Bill that was enacted in 2006. And then there's the Customary Marriage Act, under which, people that have more than one wives in the Zulu culture, and that they get married under that. This proposal, the Department of Home Affairs is proposing that we scrap all three of those marriage acts and create one single marriage statute. And under that statute would be different formulas for marriage. Now, the problem with this is that once they scrap the three marriage acts and put this new act in, the definition of marriage is going to change. And that is the big problem here. They're going to redefine marriage as we know it. And the new sort of definition is going to be protected relationships is going to be any two people. Monogamous protected relationships is going to be defined as two people in a protected relationship regardless of sex, sexual orientation, or gender identity. And what this is going to mean now, that marriage, if this bill is enacted, or this proposal is enacted as law under the Single Marriage Statute, it would mean then that marriage is no longer a union between a man and a woman. It's going to be a man and a woman, a man and a man, a woman and a woman, transgenders or anything else you want to add into that. And so marriage as we know it, the institution of marriage that stood for thousands of years, recognized by all cultures, is going to be abolished in South Africa. Now, you are the founder of the Fatherhood Foundation. You work with dysfunctional families, broken homes, all these kind of things, working to restore this value of fatherhood, because we know how damaging and destructive it is when families break down. What do you think redefining marriage is going to do in our country?
Well, I must tell you, firstly, in my personal opinion, I think I'm not surprised that the government is going that way. When we look at the world stage today, where everything is moving towards the secular humanism thought patterns and behaviors, and wanting to legislate that, then obviously this totally makes sense, in that especially Christianity is coming into under a heavy attack throughout the world. One really almost doesn't want to get into a discussion about what happened in America over the last couple of months. But what it means for us here in South Africa is that it's, in my opinion, as the founder of the Fatherhood Foundation, and I've been doing advocacy and work in fatherlessness for 14 years. And I have seen the effects that fatherlessness creates in our society. And as much as one wants to discount the father's role in the family, and gender equality has been pushed, and there's nothing wrong with gender equality being pushed. I'm all for it, but not at the expense of the other gender. Of course, now I've got to talk gender because there's so many different genders at the moment, but male and female. Is that it has affected our country so much. It has affected the family structure in our family and around the world so much. And something like this is definitely going to negatively affect the entire family structure. It's going to affect fathers' roles. It's going to affect the psyche of men, because let me tell you, Errol, for me, men today are in a confused state. They're not sure whether they should open doors for women anymore, whether they should offer to pay the bill after dinner, whether they should offer a coat if it's a bit cold at night, because women are now meant to be equal to men. And this is where I have this big problem with a particular strain of feminism that pushes that men are equal to women. I want to discount that immediately. I want to say that feminism, and I know that's not our topic, but it's going to lead into where I'm going. Feminism is, in my opinion, I got a lot of flack for this. I'm not in favor of feminism, because men have bought into this feminism lie that says men are equal to women, men and women can do the same things. Women are not supposed to do the same things that men do. Women are supposed to do everything that a man can't do. That is the great design. That is where we're meant to fit in, men and women. Everything that the man can't do, the women will do. And everything that the woman can't do, the man is supposed to cover that. That is how I believe we were designed. That's how we were created. When you look at that, that has got to be the blueprint. That has got to be the foundation. That has got to be the basis of everything that we base family on, that we base relationships on. And I know things have changed. I know lots of different thought patterns have come in, and this gender equality and gender parity and gender neutralism has come in. Now people are advocating that we're not allowed to call babies babies. They're now going to be called babies.
That's right.
So you don't tell your child up to the age of 4 whether they're a boy or girl. You let them decide. I mean, it's crazy things like that.
So Zane, I agree entirely with you. The whole issue of feminism, this banner of equality, that you can change just about anything. Under the banner of equality, we have a list now of 112 genders that people can choose from.
Wow.
And all kinds of crazy things. So I think one of the big agendas now is to redefine marriage and family, what that means. And sexual rights activists have been trying to do this since 2006 in South Africa, when they enacted the Civil Union Bill. They didn't want another bill, a separate bill to regulate same-sex relationships. They wanted government to amend the Marriage Act that under which we get married. They wanted government to amend that to say marriage is heterosexual or homosexual, same sex, opposite sex. It's all the same thing. Right. And we, as Christian leaders, we met with the Minister of Home Affairs and we pushed back against that. And thankfully, they took what we said into consideration. They left the Marriage Act intact and they created Civil Union Bill. And that was a biggie also, because also it meant that religious marriage officers that do marriages under the Marriage Act wasn't required to do same-sex marriages. But now the homosexual groups, the UN agencies and all these groups have been putting pressure on government and saying, look, you've got to make one marriage law, because marriage is marriage. And of course, marriage between a man and a woman is marriage, and anything else is a counterfeit. It's not marriage. And so it looks like that our government has caved to these demands, and now the single marriage policy is going to redefine marriage. They're trying to solve a number of other issues with the single marriage policy, but I think the main primary objective here is to redefine marriage, to make same-sex marriage, gender identity, transgender marriage, and marriage between a man and woman, put that all under the banner of marriage. And so in 5 or 10 years' time, if you asked anybody what is marriage, they wouldn't know. Because marriage now
Absolutely.
would become anything you want it to be. It can be same sex, opposite sex. I believe that in a few years' time, or maybe not even a few years, maybe a year, or maybe even in a few months, polyamory marriages, which is group marriage, 2 men, 3 women can get married.
Yeah.
Then there's
Yes.
intergenerational marriage, which is adults
Wow.
marrying children. They're already pushing
Mm.
this in Europe and in America and other parts of the world. And it's coming to South Africa because our government is so liberal. So the biggest challenge here, Zane, is the redefinition of marriage and then the impact this is going to have on the church, the impact it's going to have on religious leaders, pastors, marriage officers, wedding chapels, church buildings. Because if marriage is same sex, opposite sex, transgender under one law, then the church has no ground to stand and to say, look, we only recognize marriage as man and woman. You won't be able to do that because it's all one law. And so churches will have to accommodate all these other relationships because it's all covered by one statute. But so that is, when it comes to religious freedom issues, that's the one issue. But the big one is undermining and weakening the institution of marriage. Now, we see what happens when marriages break apart, when there's no fathers in the home. We see what happens in society with children. So if this marriages or the Single Marriage Statute is enacted as they propose in this discussion paper for the South African Law Reform Commission, what is your, just your feeling, your gut feeling? What would be the consequences?
Well, I can see the consequences is the continuation of the cancel culture. I'll tell you that much. Anyone who doesn't buy into this new thinking, anyone who doesn't toe the line and step in line and stay in line is going to be canceled. Your church will be closed. Your license will be taken away. You have got to do the things the way this new world order is going to determine that we do it. This great reset that's happening, this great, it's all part of what's happening in the world right now. And that for me is away goes your liberties, away goes your freedom, away your religious freedoms, your religious liberty. Away goes our nation is built on our constitution, is built on freedoms, your religious freedom, your freedom to say what you like. All of that is going to come to an end, and especially more so for Christian people, because we believe in the one true God. We believe in a Bible. We believe in a set of rules. And that is why the Christian faith is under so much. Don't see the same kind of thing, and no disrespect to the Muslim people. There's no attack on the Muslim people when it comes to these kind of issues. There's no attack on the Hindus when it comes to this kind of issues. It is because our God says marriage is between a man will leave his mother and his father, cling to his wife, and the two shall become one. And there's a power. You've got to understand, God isn't talking about two becoming one, like the two become one body again. He's talking about a spiritual unity. And that is what frightens people. And that is what they don't understand. People are talking about the spiritual thing,
Zane, if I can
yes, Errol?
We have to go for a break, and we're going to pick up that thread when we come back. So we're going to go for a quick commercial break. We'll come back and we'll continue this discussion. But I also want to talk about some of the books you've written on family. So more after the break. Don't go away. Welcome back to the program. My guest tonight is Zane Meas, a popular actor and the founder of the Fatherhood Foundation. And we're talking tonight about the Single Marriage Statute that the Department of Home Affairs is busy working on, and also the South African Law Reform Commission has put out a discussion paper asking South Africans to comment. And we want to ask you to please consider making a submission to the South African Law Reform Commission on this Single Marriage Statute. If you need more information about that and want to look at the discussion paper, you can go to Family Policy Institute's website, www.familypolicyinstitute.com. It's all there. Or you can contact me at my email address, info@familypolicyinstitute.com, so that I can send you more information about this. But the church Zane needs to speak on this issue. And you talking about,
Yes.
the genders all over the world and on different issues, gender and this and that, children, comprehensive sexuality education. There's so much happening. It's frightening, but we still have to stand up, Zane. Coming back to marriage, and you with the Fatherhood Foundation, you understand clearly what we're talking about here. Marriage is a cornerstone institution. It's the foundation. God started with a man and a woman in marriage, and he built civilization on that union, on that institution. And so once you begin to unravel that, redefine the institution of marriage, what you're doing is unraveling civilization. Everything goes, because marriage is sacred. It's from God. It's designed by God. It's given by God. It's his idea, not man. And so no human institution has the authority to redefine or pull that thing apart, because they didn't give it to us in the first place. Do you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is God ordained. This is a God thing. It is not, marriage and family didn't come through social construct. It didn't come through millennia where people decided, oh, we'll get together as a family unit and it'll be husband and wife and children and so on. No, it has always been God ordained. And it should always be God ordained. I want to get to this one statement. Civil union and marriage are two separate things, in my opinion. In my industry, in the acting industry, I have a lot of gay friends, and I must admit they are my friends. Some of them I love dearly. Most of them I love dearly, my friends, of course. But I've never attended any of the gay marriages that I've been invited to, and some of them took part in churches, and I've had to explain to some of them why I could not attend. And respectfully so, I said, I believe you love your partner. I believe you believe in this. But when it comes to marriage, I believe marriage, as we understand it, that word marriage. Civil union is something else, A civil union is something else. But marriage itself, once you call it a marriage, you're talking about a man and a woman. That is what I believe. I'm not being discriminatory. I'm not being homophobic or whatever. Marriage, in my sense, is that. Civil union is something else. Civil union can happen between a guy and a guy, a girl and a girl. It's a civil union. The courts allow it. This is my point. As long as a law says something, we'll stick to that law. We'll say the law says we must stop at the red light. We will do that. As soon as you start attacking my faith and biblical principles, that is where I am going to draw the line, sir and madam. You cannot tell me to change the Bible. My Bible teaches me God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And his word will remain. Heaven and earth will pass away, but that word will remain. I can't take away from it. I can't add to it. It is my duty as an ambassador of his kingdom to simply state what he states. It's native. We're not being rude. We're not being exclusionist. It's what the word says. I can't change it. And I'm sorry about that. Maybe you can go to another faith and they can accommodate you. But of course, people will always come to the Christian faith because that is the one that has the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, and his name is Yeshua, Jesus. And that is the person they don't want on that throne when he comes back.
Yeah.
So it's a big thing for me in this way, Errol. Yeah.
Zane, so that's my argument. The submission I'm busy with, my entire focus is going to be on arguing for marriage. That marriage is an institution given by God. It predates our government, our constitution, or any government or institution for that matter. And that no human authority has the right to redefine it. And that's why, but marriage is a social good for men, women, for children, for people of various faiths, for any culture. It's always been a social good. Every society needs marriage because a man and woman come together, they have children, they raise a family, they raise their children to be good members of society, they teach them values. The family is the first university that children are exposed to, the first learning institution. That's where they taught all the values of responsibility, of honesty, integrity, of taking account for your actions, all of those kind of things before they even get to school. So marriage and the family are foundational institutions. They're the foundation of society. And society is only as strong as the family. Now, I mean,
Mm.
Zane, you've written books on this. Tell us a little bit about the books you've written on the family, on those issues, and why you've written it.
Well, the first book I wrote was a book called, and if I just show you the picture, Errol, it's called Daddy Come Home. I don't know if your camera can pick that up. It's Daddy Come Home. It was a book written about fatherlessness and the importance of fatherlessness in society. And it was written in answering the need of the issue of, you can name it, gang violence where in the neighborhood that I come from, teenage pregnancy, teen suicide, whatever social ill can be traced back to the fatherless issue. That's family. That's family. And what government has done is they've pushed gender equality so much that the women were always under, and we understand that because of a certain form of patriarchy. Not all patriarchy is bad, but certain form of patriarchy. They've now pushed the gender agenda so much so that men are being ignored. Since men have been ignored, GBV has gone up. Gender-based violence have gone up because no one is speaking to this issue of this man. You were the leader, you were the head of your home, you were the breadwinner, you went to work, now you're sitting at home. What I see now is men and women walking to the bus, the train, the taxi, and the women getting on the bus, the train, and taxi, and the men going home. 10 years ago, this wasn't the case, and I'm not saying that should be the status quo, not at all. But no one is speaking to that. No one is in government is saying, listen, we want to push gender equality because. And that for me is there's always this misstep that government pushes policies that other nations are pushing without thinking of what are our needs as a nation. What is our situation? What is our particular reaction to this thing? They just ignore that. And then the second book, more importantly, is exactly what we're talking about. It's called Happy Family, Happy Nation. As the family is, that's how the nation will be. And let me tell you, this is where marriage plays a big role. That definition of marriage, men and women, as I explain it. Because in this book, I tackle the new look of family, male and male families, child-headed households, single-parent households, traditional marriage households. I look at all of that, and I look at it, and I look at the pros and cons and the weaknesses and the strengths, the SWOT analysis of these families. And what it basically comes down to is that children, wherever they grow up, society, whatever it is, needs the traditional family unit as we know it. Children, for the development of their psyche, of their self-worth, need a mommy and a daddy. Whether you're a daddy family, your child needs a female influence in it. If you're mommy influence, you got to understand that child needs a father, whether it's a boy or girl. They need the male influence in their life. You got to understand that that is the way God designed it. That is in our DNA, in our RNA. We can't change that. It's the way we are designed. So that is the conclusion of my book, is that we understand the landscape of family has changed. It's not mommy, daddy, and two and a half kids and a dog. We understand it's changed. But the need for that family unit is so much needed today. We want to save society. We've got to fight for that.
Absolutely.
I know we'll always fall short. We'll always never get there, but we've got to fight for that. We've got to draw society back from where this new world order is trying to take us and get us back. And marriage, for me, is the one thing that is going to be, I tell you, Errol, if they get us right with marriage, we can say goodbye to the family unit as we know it.
Absolutely. And that's my fear, and many others, Zane, is that once you unravel marriage and family, the foundations of society, entire society collapses. Now, here's the thing.
Absolutely.
They don't have to do it. And that's my submission. It's going to be the core of my submission to the Law Reform Commission, is that I'm arguing that government must protect marriage as an institution between a man and a woman, because this institution stood for thousands of years and served cultures across the world faithfully. And we need marriage because it's a cornerstone institution. Now, government can give protection and recognition to other forms of relationship, but they don't have to redefine marriage to do that. They can,
Absolutely.
under the Union Act, Customary Act, they can do other things to recognize and protect those people in those relationships. They're doing it now already. But I think because they're coming under pressure from UN agencies and sexual rights groups, they're going to abolish marriage, the biblical definition of marriage, heterosexual, monogamous marriage. They're going to pull that thing apart, unravel it, twist it into something else that is not marriage. And it's going to have devastating consequences to our society, because, as you said so eloquently, Zane, we need marriage. Marriage is important. Marriage is critical to any society, because marriage serves all people, regardless of your sexual preferences or your beliefs. Marriage is important for all people, as you say, because every child needs a mother and father. Marriage is a social good, because it founds a family, and that family is the foundation of society. So Zane, I want to thank you for coming onto the program tonight. I want to thank you for your insights. Those books, we're going to put the information, your information, on the screen. People want to get hold of those books, Daddy Come Home, and the other one. They can contact you and get that. But again, I want to speak to the viewers out there. We need Christians around this country, pastors, leaders, Christian denominations, organizations. I know, Zane, you with the Fatherhood Foundation going to make a submission to the South African Law Reform Commission before the 31st of March 2021. That's the deadline. All the information you can find on Family Policy Institute's website. And contact me at info@Family Policy Institute so I can help you. But we've got to speak on this matter, because, as Zane Meas says, marriage and family is critical to every society. Good night, and God bless you.